What if you said to yourself, or maybe you have said to yourself, this is just how I am? Or what if it's not? What if you've learned to manage your pain this way and you just accepted it or injected it into your personality? Well, that's what we're gonna talk about today. That's what we're gonna discuss, and we're gonna try to find out where we are and how we can move past this from personality to protection. Let's get into it. So, is it really your personality to be late, to not like to be touched, to not to be connected to people? Is it really part of your personality, or is it the way that you protect yourself instead of healing? It's easier to numb it than it is to name it. And I'm going to tell you why. I always talk about this because I talk about this with my clients a lot. Um, we believe in this reality that everything has to have a nice piece to it. Like, so if we say, the other day I said something, I really regret spending time or wasting time on individuals who didn't deserve it, right? There's like, no, it's a learning lesson, it's all of that stuff. And I said, yeah, it really is all of that. But what's wrong with me saying that I regret that? Because you'll live with it forever. I said, well, I'm living with the pain of it anyway. So I don't understand. If I name it, I don't numb it, and that means I'll be able to heal it. When you don't name it, you numb it, and you just keep repeating that pattern over and over again. We have to stop normalizing self-honesty. We got to be honest with ourselves, and so that we don't keep creating shame. Because if we're not self-honest, if we're not being honest with ourselves, we are creating shame, not only for ourselves, but everyone that we're touch, and even our families. So just keep that in mind as we go along. All right? Remember what I said. It's easier to numb the pain than to name it. So let's talk about the dysfunction. This is called, this part is like the mask of acceptance. We normalize dysfunction. Like the phrase, I know someone that lived so many years and always said, I'm always late. That's just part of my personality. As I think about it, how could that be part of your personality? You're always late. And it's a dysfunction. I'm always late. It's the avoidance of feeling unworthy of others' time. Think about it. It's the avoidance of feeling unworthy of other people's time. Here's another one. I make bad decisions. It's a lack of trust in yourself, and it's often rooted in abandonment. Hello, Juliet. Thanks for dropping in. The third one, I don't like to be touched. And I hear this a lot from my clients. And guess what that is? Physical and emotional trauma. Because I had it. Hi, Kaden. I had that. And I was like, why do I don't want to be touched? Well, I went through some traumatic things in my life, and touching was so familiar because it became painful. So I didn't like it, but I had to realize that I'm here to connect with people in this life. As a human, we're here to connect with other people. Now, this phrase, I don't like being touched, right? And there may be some components with, autism and things like that. It may be some components. However, it's mostly rooted in physical and emotional trauma. The fourth one is, I'm not a loving person. You have built up walls for survival. I hear so many women say, I'd rather mess with somebody who's married because then there's no expectations, and I know my lane, I know where I am. No one wants that feeling of being second best to anyone. That's just their fear, and that's just they're riding on their fear and not willing to name it and get rid of the shame and heal. They're not willing to do that. So I want you to realize that these are nothing but masks that you've accepted, and you shouldn't accept them. And we normalize this dysfunction and we keep it going by saying these things. There's more. If you said something, right, that you might fall in these categories, put it down in the comment section so I can add it to my talks, because I always talk about the phrases: I'm late, I make bad decisions, I don't like being touched, I'm not a loving person. Those are the major ones, but there may be some more. So if you have others, put them in the comments section. Love to hear what you think. Okay, so why would you rather manage the pain instead of dealing with it, naming it, not being numb, and being able to heal it? Why would you manage it? See, managing pain is familiar. So every time it happens, it's like I can manage it because I can take control, and I can say, let's just take, I'm always late. So if I'm always late, right, to anything that I do, I put up a wall around myself to say, if I'm late, people expect me to be late, and they're not going to expect anything from me because I'm not worthy of their time anyway. So that's your wall, right? If you've made bad decisions and you hinge on the bad decisions, and you say, I've made all these bad decisions, so I'm going to keep making bad decisions. You made that agreement with yourself. That's your wall, right? So you don't trust yourself, and that's rooted in abandonment. Why? Because when you were abandoned by the one that's supposed to care for you, you don't feel safe. So everybody is not safe. So you're going to get them before they get you. So you're going to not trust yourself because you trusted being yourself around the person that was supposed to make you safe that abandoned you. So now you're thinking every decision you make is going to be bad. That's, even when they say, what's that saying when they, when you get married, you get ready to get married, right? And you say you have, I forgot the phrase, you have wet feet or something like that. Some saying, but that you have second thoughts. And no, it's just that you question yourself because you don't trust yourself. But you made the decision prior to that. And it just makes you nervous. Managing pain is so very familiar and it's safe that if you attempt to start to heal and take on that work of healing, going to the therapist, working with a coach, reading and educating yourself, working on yourself, meditating, exercising, taking control of what you feel when you anxiety, taking control of, I'm anxious. Why am I anxious? What's making me anxious? Asking yourself those very important questions become scary. And that's why you don't want to manage. You'd rather manage the pain, than to work through it. Society even rewards functional sufferers. It completely rewards them. If you're a functional sufferer, right? Maybe you get on disability easier, or maybe you get away with something easier, and society opens that up, that they're always going to be that way. They're going to give you names because it's because it's safe. It's safe to do that. And they may put a label on you like the high-functioning anxious person or the dependable overgiver. They even, contribute to the dysfunctionality. But this is not about society. It's not about other people. It's about you. And I know we said this, we hear this everywhere. You're the only person that you can control. You're the only person that you really come to pray about. You're the only person that you need to become aware about. You. Everything that you do is about you. So you need to comfort in chaos is a trauma response. You need to understand that concept. The comfort in chaos is a trauma response. So if there's something going on, you're comfortable with that. You're used to hearing that. I hear my young children, when they hear arguing, oh, I'm used to it. That's not supposed to be a comfortable thing, to say that chaos is happening. Oh, I'm used to it. So that's why I wear my earbuds. I don't want to hear the screaming. I don't want to hear the nonsense. I'm used to it. But what's underneath? Neglect, abandonment, feeling unsafe. This is often the root. Pain gets internalized and becomes your identity. That's why you say, I'm always late. I make bad decisions. I don't like being touched. I'm not a loving person. That's why you say them. Without healing, you keep repeating the survival loop. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. I'm not saying it has to do with anything with marriage, but you may come up with an issue that keeps happening. And you're like, what the heck? Why am I keep going through the same thing? Because you have not mastered that within yourself. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It keeps coming to you because you have to stop the loop. You have to stop the loop because you're in survival mode. You're in the survival loop. So what if you ask yourself, what have I accepted that actually needed to heal? Let's just think about that for a second. What have I accepted that I actually need to heal? And what I actually accepted was that there's only just enough. And being happy with just enough is what I'm supposed to be. That's supposed to be for me. Yes, Leora, that's correct. That's a good one. That no one will love me the way I am able to. And you know what? That's a good point, because before you can love anyone else, you have to love yourself and be that person that you want other people to love. You know, and be able to attract that. I agree with you, Leora. I don't believe you should be happy with anything less. Yes, I totally believe that. So I believed that having enough was enough. You know what I mean? Like, just meeting the bare minimums was enough. I didn't believe more. And then now I believe that I should have more than enough, right? And more than enough is my right to have, and I can create that. And it makes me feel happy, and I am good for that. I feel abundant, right? Yes, that's the lack mentality. But it's so many levels, even though we grow in some levels, and I'm learning this, even though we learn in some levels, there's still some little things that are hiding. And that's what I think, the little dysfunctional flaps that we're kind of missing, and that's why I'm on here today to say that to you is we normalize. We normalize that, those small things. And the other thing I learned is I've always, and if you guys follow me, I always believed in God. And the new precepts that I have, and Eleanor, I think Leora is talking about it. I believe that the God in me has the answer. God is not out here somewhere or on my knees, and it's up to me to create that. I have the power to create that. I have the power to, and I have the power to even control time, my own time, not everybody else's time, but my own time. And we're getting off the track, but I have to learn to not to accept things that don't let me heal. That's exactly what it is. So we have to get into that modality that we are not in a place that we can't heal. We need to heal. We need to get out of survival mode. Even depending on God sometimes is survival mode. We think that somebody's going to come rescue me. Because I'm going to tell you, I did that when I was younger. And I always believed that God's going to come and pick me up and take me somewhere. But no, when we were born, we're giving everything that I have inside of me, everything I need to create. I just have to actuate it. I just have to put it into action. And I just believe all of that. And let me tell you, I've gone through, minister school, but that's another subject. I've gone through all of that only to come to believe that spirituality is where you should be. Your own individual race, your own individual understanding, not religion, not any of that. It's your own individual understanding which aligns with your core values, nobody else's. So I have gotten off track, but we are definitely talking about we're definitely talking about managing pain versus healing it. And I don't want you to settle for being broken. I don't want you to settle for keeping neglect, abandonment, and feeling unsafe in your life. But I want you to really look into your life and say, hey, I need to change these habits. I need to do a heart check for yourself. Check your heart. Make sure that you're not normalizing or decorating a part of identity that is really not what you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to adapt to. It's not your personality. Don't stay in survival mode, right? The habits of being late, emotionally distant or indecisive, are rooted in trauma. Realize that. Name it so that you're not numb and so you don't keep shame alive. There's a powerful difference between managing pain and healing pain. I know that you can heal this. I know that you can really be honest with yourself. Do a heart check. Don't fluff it up. Don't sugarcoat it. Just truth and awareness. And make it part of your life that you can start to begin to heal. Saying it's just who I am is a survival mechanism. And you need to really say to yourself that you are not broken. You were conditioned. You hear the word were. You were conditioned. I invite you to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Invite you, when you say, I don't like to be touched, ask yourself, why am I saying that? Behind the patterns that you kind of create, ask yourself those deeper questions. I invite you to comment, share with others, give me some hearts, thumbs up for this channel. I started this channel and I'm answering Sadiq's question. I started this channel because it was an extension of my podcast, which is doing tremendously well right now. But I wanted to do a deep dive into a lot of the things that I talked about. So this is really about self-development, personal development, and healing of your own. And I'm actually sharing steps in my life and patterns that give me a breakthrough. That's really what it is. So I'm on here, I think almost every day, every day. So I invite you to join me, share with your friends, and give me some feedback. All right, this is Edna White. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being here, because you didn't have to, but you're here today. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye for now.